to the One Up Podcast. I am your host, El Caballo, a.k.a. Tony. Here with some of my nearest and dearest. I got Doe in the building.
Here.
I got Mateo.
Hey, buddy.
And I got Pooch in the building.
Tyson Fury whipped Deontay Wilder's ass last night. That's all I got.
Damn. Before we get into that ass whooping last night, first-time listeners or viewers and reoccurring ones that keep coming back and loving us, please, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell to get the notifications when our video goes up. And once again, we appreciate every single thing you guys do. We got the Twitter, we got the Facebook, we got TikTok, we got Fire Spirit, we got all that.
Some would say, ring-a-ling, the ding-a-ling bell.
Would they?
Yeah, they
I
would.
don't think I would say that, but we appreciate y'all. And yes, Wilder got his ass whooped last night.
Fire Spirit was a joke, by the way. There's no such thing. He was trying to make the media fire or angel fire reference.
It was Angel Fire. It was Angel Fire.
I was wondering what the hell that was about.
It was what you said last week, bro. I thought it was that.
Fire Spirit.
We got the fire spirit. I like that.
But yeah, that dude's knees was weak after that first knockdown. He has never been the same. That whole fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. It was come on, dude. If that wasn't a good fight, then there's no such thing as a good fight.
I just think Fury just had him done the whole game. Like the man got hit, and it was just like, oh, okay, he's shaky, and then it's like he never recovered.
Yeah, he
Never
looked shaky.
recovered.
There were a couple times, like I don't know if he still had like PTSD from the second fight. After he got his ass whipped in the second fight. This fight was competitive. It went to the 11th round, and now every time Tyson Fury went in to try to finish the job. By the way, terrible finisher. Like he put Mike Tyson in the ring or somebody else like who's good at closing the show, and that fight would have been done in round like 2 or you know what I'm saying, or early. This guy took it to 11 rounds. But anyhow, anytime he went in to go and finish, Wilder would throw hit him hard. And dude, Wilder got the touch of death. Like if he hits you die. Like, dude, he's got 42 wins with 41 KOs. The guy has power.
Those guys are beast, man. They're both like
huge.
6'7" and 6'9", right?
Yeah, they're
What weight
massive.
class were they in?
The biggest one.
Heavyweight.
If you're 6'9", you're over 200 pounds. So you're a heavyweight. Yeah, that guy was 270 pounds. Like,
Although that would be funny to see a 6'5" and like featherweight or some shit like that.
What is
Big
a
game.
cruiserweight?
it's one weight class below heavyweight. They're like I think 190 to 201 is their weight class.
That sounds right, but I've never been able to keep track of like all the various like weight class breakdowns.
Yeah, cruiserweight has been pretty much nobody cares about cruiserweight until just recently. There was a guy who was pretty good there, but then he moved up to heavyweight and he just beat one of the heavyweight champs like 2 weeks ago, which is insane. A little guy fighting another hulking giant, like a 6'6", 200, and this guy's ripped. He's like 240, 50 pounds, pure muscle, and he got beat by a guy like 4 inches shorter, much lighter, just really quick, And,
Damn.
yeah, good fights.
Shit. Well, I mean, I guess we know what we did last night, but how was the rest of y'all week? What about you, Doe? You kind of quiet. What's going on with you? How was your week?
Everything's good, man. I can't complain. I met Track Bike Tony again this week. That was cool. Yeah, that was cool. He came in my building. We chatted up for a little bit. And then he's like, do you smoke? And I'm like, yes. And he says, well, here's this joint. And he gives me a pre-rolled. And so, yeah, I smoked it on the balcony. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Not at work, at home. I have a balcony here.
Right. No, that sounds amazing. You met your idol, gave you a joint.
Yeah. No, I had a good time. Every week my stomach is dead from halal food, but every week I'm back at the halal place for some reason.
The halal food's so good, dude.
I don't think I ever had any of it.
I always pay for it the next day though.
Is it really that bad? Like for your stomach?
It's hot. It's hot. They have like this red sauce
Oh.
that like, bro, it feels like lava's coming out of your butthole.
Jesus.
It's
Thank
hot.
God. Thank God I never tried it. Thank God. I don't
But
like
you
hot
you
food.
like it like with the white sauce and stuff like that. You like all that white creamy sauce on your lips.
I don't. No, I don't know.
Tony definitely likes dripping like Alfredo sauces and man mayonnaise. Like, he loves that shit.
Jesus loves Alfredo sauce. I've never heard anyone talk about
Alfredo?
Alfredo sauce.
Alfredo sauce is good though.
Alfredo sauce is good as hell.
I got
It is
him
good.
to say it. I got him to say it.
No, I have no problem saying I like Alfredo sauce. I just don't like it all over my lips, like how you were trying to insinuate.
If y'all were talking about the halal white sauce,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would bathe in that shit. That shit's delicious.
That shit's
That
so
shit
good,
is-
dude.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah, Tony's
Yo,
never
I'd
had a
be
halal
tight.
food.
I'd be asking for extra packets. They be stingy with the packets.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta skimp on your own. You gotta skimp on yourself in hopes that like you have extra sauce to use for other things. It's like, oh, I made this sandwich. Oh, let me put this halal sauce on there. The only other sauce that's like maybe on par, Chick-fil-A sauce. I don't even like Chick-fil-A like that,
Yo,
but the Chick-fil-A sauce is like crack.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A has a sweet and sriracha. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Chick-fil-A has a sauce though that they don't even give out.
What
It's
is it called?
it starts with a P. It's like no, it's just. I mean, they give it out. The pooch, but
Polynesian?
I don't know if it's Polynesian. It's a sauce that's just like
They have one packet. They keep it in a glass jar behind the counter. They're like, you can't have this one.
They break it with a hammer, a little hammer.
I don't know why all these places are stingy. McDonald's, Burger King, all these fast food joints be stingy with sauces. Like, yo, just give me the sauce. Like, you give me 2 sauces for 20 chicken nuggets. That's not gonna work, Papa. I need at least 4 fucking sauces.
You know what place isn't? You know what place isn't stingy with sauces? You go to Taco Bell and you tell them you need lots of like the fire and the Diablo sauce, and they'll drop in 2 handfuls into your bag.
That's a fact.
Oh yeah, that facts. Taco Bell's they do that.
Yo, Taco Bell has never treated me wrong with that. They always give me as many sauces as I want. That is crazy.
It's cheap stuff.
I mean, yeah, it's cheap ass sauces, right? That's probably why.
Their mild sauce is fantastic. Like, I love spicy food, but I always get mild sauce at Taco Bell. It's just the best tasting sauce. I'd rather have the tastiest sauce over like the heat. Sometimes I'll mix like the hot with the mild just because I like the mild flavor. I haven't had Taco Bell in forever though.
Taco Bell is great.
I get a craving probably about once every like 2 or 3 weeks for Taco Bell, and I no shame, dude. I don't care. Taco Bell's all right. It's not real Mexican food, but it's still tasty.
We got the Taco
don't
Bell.
even say that. People say that. I'd just be shocked. Oh, let's get some Mexican food. All right, where are we going? Taco Bell.
Like, the cool thing about Taco Bell's here now is that they have KFC, and even sometimes they have Pizza Hut in them too, like a small pizza area. So you could get a personal pie with a quesadilla and some mashed potatoes and some gravy. Yo, you remember that video I
Damn.
sent you?
That's why you-
Pucho? That was one of those places. That was like a KFC Taco Bell with the. I don't care about Antoine. I don't care about. I don't care
That
about
was
Antoine.
fantastic.
Y'all remember that stupid song by Das Racist? About being at the Pizza Hut and the Taco Bell, the combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. Y'all don't remember that one?
Isn't that the two white people that look really weird?
Yeah, I think
They-
they were a really weird group, like in like the early 2000s or something. But yeah, they have an entire song that's just about being at a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell.
Those things are awesome, bro. I love mixing and matching my fast foods.
Yeah, that's just a bad stomach explosion waiting to happen.
I feel like that's every time Doey goes to the bathroom. I'm not gonna lie.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about for me too though. Like I can't be mixing all these mezcladas. Like that should just be. Nah, I'm good.
Hey, Mateo, you backup recording?
Yeah, I'm back at recording.
Cool.
Perfect. But what about you, Pooch? Yeah, Pooch. What about you? How was your week other than the fight? I was gonna say Mateo, but I looked at you and said your name.
I honestly haven't been doing shit other than I just been playing a lot of video games. I've been running through been playing Metal Gear Survive. That's been good still. And I've been playing the Castlevania Advanced Collection. It's all the Game Boy Advance games. I loved those games back in the day. So I was in the middle of playing Deathloop and I stopped playing it to play the Castlevania game. So I don't know. Dude, right now the game situation's a little fucked because like I still want to go back and play Nier that came out like 6 months ago. I still have to play through fucking Deathloop. I still have to play through the Kena. I don't know what the game's called. The Bridge of Spirits. Looks like a Pixar game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shit's about to keep coming out. Things are rolling. Through January, Elden Ring is dropping.
Did you say you bought Deathloop?
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah, what do you think of it so far?
I don't like the shooting in the game, but I feel like it's somewhat intentional. Like I think they want you to focus on stealth. I think it's really cool. They kind of drop you off in like these little sandboxes, just like kind of small. It feels kind of large, but it really isn't. There's just a lot of depth to the areas. There's like basements and 3-story buildings, so there's like a lot of verticality to those areas. And yeah, it's just pretty cool. It gave me some Half-Life vibes, believe it or not. Like
Damn.
Half-Life doesn't ever really tell you like what to do.
Mhm.
You just like you're kind of just going forward, and then you're like, oh, what's this thing? Oh, there's this cable running from this thing, and you're like walking. You go, oh look, this cable's disconnected. You can, you know what I mean? Like it just has like a very like there's like a good flow to playing Half-Life games, and I feel like Deathloop has something similar to that, where I was just kind of walking along, and I found like this big like generator, and it had all these like wires coming out of it, and I had already destroyed the source of a few of these wires without realizing it because I saw the wires were turned off. So then naturally, the game never told me to do this. I started like following each of the wires to like destroy whatever like electric connection was like connected to it, and it turned out to be the objective. Like I needed to do this, but I didn't know that, right?
This is 30 years of video game logic. Like,
yeah.
This like I've helped my nephew on games before. I used to help my nephew on games, and he'd be like, "How did you figure that out?" I was like, "I don't know, dude. I've been playing video games for 30 years. All these games have a similar thought process in how you solve problems."
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
Which is why I love The Outer Wilds and Return of the Obra Dinn, both, and The Witness. All three of those games, very, very interesting games. They don't tell you what to do much, and it's just like a big mind fuck. I really highly recommend all three of those games. Although The Witness might be too heavy on the puzzles for most, but the Return of the Obra Dinn is fucking crazy. I love that game, and The Outer Wilds is probably my game of the year last year. So
Return of the Obra Dinn has been on my list for forever. As someone that didn't like the Dishonored series a lot, would I enjoy Deathloop?
I mean, I didn't enjoy the Dishonored series a lot, and so far I'm liking Deathloop. But
okay, some of the videos I've seen, like the controls and the way that like the movement seems very similar to Deathloop. Their previous games.
Yeah,
or not. Or
it looks similar. I never played Dishonored too heavily. Just I think I played some demos and stuff like that. And I didn't like them enough to like really like jump into them. Yeah, the game feels similar for sure. I think there's at least so far there's less of a fakeness to the game.
Okay,
so you're not like dashing around using magical powers yet, right? So far, I'm just using guns, some melee weapons, stealthing stuff, setting traps, things like that. But
that's fair.
Yeah.
I've seen some videos where they kick people off of ledges, and I always appreciate a game that lets you kick people off of things.
I feel like
stop.
when I played Dishonored, I was like, this is a less fun what's the underwater game that they made before that?
Is it that that game you always used to play? That fucking what's
Echo the Dolphin.
Underwater?
No. It's with the little girl and the little anchor.
Oh,
Yes.
BioShock.
Yes,
BioShock,
No
yes.
way. There's
Dishonored's
such
That's what he's saying.
I know. I get
Dishonored's
it.
a less fun BioShock.
I would actually say Dishonored was more fun than BioShock, but I didn't like the shooting in
love the
BioShock very
BioShocks.
much.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love those games
just
so
played
much.
through BioShock 1, and while I enjoyed the game, I think the game is not very great. I think the story is not very. Everybody loves the story so much. There's all this "would you kindly" bullshit. I wasn't that impressed. I was like, it's all right.
I think
thought-
story and atmosphere.
I would agree with the
Atmosphere
atmosphere. The setting, the atmosphere was cool as hell.
Mhm.
The big daddies, those things are frightening the first time you run into them.
Yeah, I never really played the game. Oh, I played a little bit of one that Doughboy let me play on his house, and it was all right. I mean, I got like a little bit of a with the dark eerie look or the feel. I got like Dead Space. That's the kind of feeling I got from it.
Are those games worth going back and playing? Because I've never beat Dead Space.
Oh, Dead Space is fantastic.
And I think I saw that they just remastered them or something, and they're on Game Pass. Maybe I'm tripping.
If you want, if you stream or whatever, I'll watch you play those. Those are that's one of my favorite games of all time. The first Dead Space, second Dead Space. Yeah, you let me know.
I'm tempted. I need some spooky games to play. Like I've also got Alien Isolation that I think I might finally run through this this month.
Yeah, the one thing that pissed. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I want to try that out. So let me know how that goes.
Definitely.
The one thing that pissed me off about Alien Isolation, you can't kill the alien. You just gotta scare it away, and it runs away, and then it comes back, and then you scare it again, and then it runs away.
That's trash.
That's
cycle.
That's keeping up with the first Alien movie, though. The first Alien movie, they she kills it by what? It's the airlock or something. They just launch it out into space.
Yeah, she doesn't kill it.
Mm-hmm.
That thing might be alive. The way they describe the capabilities of this thing, it's like nothing could kill it.
And then aliens came out, and they're just mowing them down with their plasma phased rifles or whatever the hell that line is.
There's xenomorphs in Dead Space, so that's pretty cool.
What's a xenomorph?
It's the same creature.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same creature from Aliens.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like Aliens that much. It was it really cheapened the fear of the first Alien movie, where basically this one thing took down like an entire crew. Granted, they were not a military crew; they were like a maintenance crew, but still, these people couldn't kill this one thing. And in the second movie, these like space marines just mowed down. There's a scene they put down like a sentry turret, and this thing kills like 1 million aliens before it runs out of bullets. And it's just like, all right. I think they try to like give you like a slight explanation. Like the alien that we were dealing with in the first movie was like a very mature alien. So it had like more armor, more defensive capabilities and stuff like that. So then these aliens in the second movie are kind of still like babies, young kind of thing. So they die a little more easily. It still felt cheap. And then Alien 3 went back to the roots. A little more scary.
This is why Alien versus Predator shouldn't even be like a question. The Predator would wreck the alien. The Predator would wreck any amount of aliens. It took an Arnold Schwarzenegger to take down a Predator. And these Marines are taking down 5 billion aliens in Aliens.
Yeah, I love the concept of Alien versus Predator though. Like Predator is supposed to be like the ultimate hunter. And the alien is supposed to be like the ultimate prey, like this is the thing that's like almost unkillable. So it's like they're going for the what happens when like an unstoppable force meets like an immovable object or whatever.
Did they just combine those two universes together, or like how did that end up happening? Anyways,
I have no fucking idea.
It was just a thing one day.
Yeah, it's
same
official.
like Freddy vs. Jason.
It's official. Like they made the movie, so like the universe is shared. They don't talk about them going through like a wormhole or anything and discovering each other.
Not only that, there's video games, Aliens versus Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what's even cooler? Alien is connected to Blade Runner, so and that's official.
Yeah, it's the same corporation in the movies.
So like Blade Runner, Alien, and now Predator are all in the same movie, which means that we could get some good Harrison Ford with Arnold Schwarzenegger action. You know what I'm saying? Taking down aliens, replicants, predators.
Is it because it's the same director, or
Yeah, I think Ridley Scott made Alien and he made Blade Runner. So yeah, that's why they're in the same universe, because they, he had some say over the screenplay, and they made some of the corporations exist in each other's. Well, I think they had Blade Runner corporations existing in the Alien franchise, and they really doubled down on it in Prometheus, because Prometheus was a prequel.
I think it's a prequel. It gets muddy as far as where all these fit into the order.
Yeah, Prometheus was a really cool movie that was dog shit. That movie sucked. I wanted to love Prometheus so bad.
Is Prometheus that one with the tall ass fucking statue? Yeah, that shit was weird.
It's got those big hairless buff dudes at the beginning.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
I like that movie.
Just run to the left, dude.
I'd rather watch that. What was it, Starship Troopers, before I watch that Prometheus shit.
Oh, I watch Starship Troopers any day, though. Honestly,
yeah, I like that shit. I also like how almost every movie has a love affair type shit going on, like, or not even a love affair, but just like a entanglements. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my ex with this dick. I'm over here getting in the mud. He's in a little plane flying and shit. The shit's always fire to me.
I have no fucking idea what we're talking about.
He's talking about the romance in movies? Yeah, he's talking about the subplot that's in Starship Troopers.
If you watched the movie, you would know.
I mean, I know that he had a girlfriend in high school. Then he left when he went to the Marines. He hooked up with the Marine chick. Then she got with the other lieutenant looking dude, and yeah.
By the
Rico,
way,
that was his name. Fucking Rico.
Rico's Roughnecks.
Yeah, I like that movie. How was your week, Mateo?
Nothing too exciting, man. I fucked up my bike yesterday. I don't know if you saw my tweets.
Yeah, what happened?
A pain in the ass, man. So we're going to this little bar down the way. We got our buddy Derek in town this weekend, so we're going to that Mr. Tramp's place. So that place is like,
so you was gonna ride your bike.
I was just gonna ride my bike. It was a quick little 3-minute bike ride. I just wanted to get an excuse to ride my bike, but the tires were all out of air because I haven't ridden my bike in a while. So I went to use my hand pump, and the O-ring fucking busted on the hand pump, so it was no longer pumping air through. So I threw that thing against the wall, and that's why it bent. And then I pulled out my emergency hand pump that I had, which is like this little tube basically, and you have to like just push it together to push the air.
It's like,
and first off, I don't know if y'all can see, got a fresh blister just from using that thing.
Oh my God.
And then it slipped from where I had it wedged, and I yanked back on the wheel, and I just ripped the fucking stem straight off my tire. So now the air just drained out. So I was like, well, I guess I'm walking.
But that's just the inner tube, right?
The inner tube. You can get that fixed. You can get that fixed.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cheap enough to replace, but
yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
But I did spend 30 minutes trying to pump up air into that thing because that hand pump sucks, dude. And I got so far along. I had that thing at like 90 psi, and then I ripped the stem off. I'm like, well,
so maybe I missed something in the story earlier, but if you own a car, which I know you do, you should have one of those little electric air pumps.
These the bikes have specialty little nozzles for filling them up with air. Mine's got super tiny little ones, and it's got this little like you have to like put this nozzle over it and then like crank it down to get it
crank it down to clip it.
Suppress the valve.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the cars are the same way. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, the car has
back in the day, I used to use my dad's electric pump to fill up my bike tires. I don't know if the bike tires are different now.
It depends on the kind of tire. Mine's like a hybrid bike, so it's got super thin little wheels or tires, I guess. So it's got a super tiny little like pressure valve that it uses.
I see. Well, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Doughboy's bikes should have the same shit.
And both of my bikes have them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're called like
I have 2 bikes now, guys.
Nice. I think they're called like Presta valves or something like that. You're our bike expert, Doy. What are they called?
I'm not a bike expert, but they're like
you're our bike expert.
No. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm the podcast bike expert, but I'm not very knowledgeable on bikes.
I think only one of us showed up with full bike attire in the middle of the podcast. I'm not sure which one of us did that, but it was only one of us that did it.
Okay, we do got a long intro, but Tony, how's your week going? We got sidetracked when you walked off.
Yeah, sorry. Gave Luca to grandma real quick. Week was good. Finally got the promotion at work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Make that money.
Yep. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm very calm, relaxed weekend. Today is football. Giants versus the Cowboys. We already know who's gonna win. We ain't gotta
Giants.
speak much about it.
Let's do
Giants.
another $5 bet, Tony. That way it'll negate
can
the
make your money
$5
back?
I already lost. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yo, I was there with Pucho when they won, and he's like, "Fuck, I owe him $5."
I liked him just casually tossing that into the chat. Like there was like we were discussing something, and there was just a message right in the middle. It's like, by the way, I owe you $5. Anyway, about the podcast.
Yeah, I'm always down for letting people win their money back. $5 today, no problem. Just $5, right? And then by the end of the season, he'll owe me $105, and I'll be like, "Hey, Pooch,
damn,
about that money.
You fuck my money at, all right?
Fucking Stewie with the orange juice. Oh, you got my money? Fucking beats fucking his ass, bro. That was my favorite clip of that shit.
Yeah, shout out to Family Guy, all right? Never been a big fan, but for some reason they made the best animations that all these Dominican dudes would do voiceovers for them. Yo, that was the fucking best.
What?
Just listening to these Dominican Stewie fuck up Brian, that shit is just fucking hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous.
But yeah, man, before we get into the next part, if you lasted this long in the video, please hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell for the notifications. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on Fire Angel.
Back to Fire Angel.
We're doing it everywhere. Check us out on Twitter. That little tweet, all that. We're out there. Love us.
Insta?
Comment. Insta. I already said Insta.
Oh.
Ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling.
And ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling of the belly-ling. I added extras on your shit. That shit probably killed it right now.
Yeah. I like the ding-a-ling, but... Yeah.
Dave Chappelle. That Netflix special. I stayed up late as fuck last night after that fight. And I gotta admit, it was a pretty good laugh. I enjoyed myself last night. Did you guys watch it? I'm assuming yes.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about it?
I'll let somebody go first.
I didn't. I think Dave Chappelle is a very interesting performer. I miss old Dave Chappelle. I will say that much. I miss old Dave Chappelle. I miss Killing Him Softly Dave Chappelle a lot. I think he does have a very interesting relationship with the trans community. And it's weird because he has these moments of like empathy, like the way that he closed out the show. I loved it. I actually thought it was a solid way to close out the show. I thought it was a good story that he was telling about a friend of his. And he has just such empathy. It's not as funny as some of his previous specials. I think Doey said that he didn't laugh until like halfway through. I was about the same. It was about halfway into the special that I had my first like good laugh.
Yeah, 30 minutes in, tenderize them titties like fucking chicken tenders. I'll see you what are chicken cutlets. I was dying.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I watched the beginning again with Booch, and when I saw all the backlash, I think it gave me an angle to watch it at, and I think that's not always the best thing to do. I think you kind of gotta like watch it yourself and just kind of enjoy it. I thought that first half is not too bad. Definitely, he's changed a lot in the past few years. I think he's still a master storyteller, though.
He definitely is.
Like,
yeah,
I thought it was genius. Personally, I loved almost every single second of the special. I felt like he was wrong about certain things. Like he tried to claim that J.K. Rowling got canceled because all she said was gender is a fact, and it's like you're kind of you're misrepresenting the facts here. Like she wrote an entire like anti-trans manifesto. Like she said a lot of things besides that. So like saying it was just that is a big mischaracterization in my opinion.
100%. That's one of the things that stuck out for me too.
Yeah, there was that. And then there was this whole space Jews thing. I'm not into the not into the anti-Semitic like Jews run the world or Jews are enslaving minority. I'm not interested. I'm not into these like kind of things.
I didn't even get it as a joke in and of itself. Like even the setup and the delivery, like he said the punchline twice because the audience didn't even realize they were supposed to laugh the first time that he said it. There was like 3 dudes chuckling the first time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, believe it or not, I think that was intentional because then when he, later on in the special, when he tells the story about the black slave who got freed that enslaved other black people, then he's like, how could an oppressed group of people that go get free go on to, you know, oppress other people? They're actually making a movie about it. It's called Space Jews. And that was like his, like, he's going back to, oh, actually, I wasn't actually talking about a black slave that enslaved other black people. I was talking about the Jews that experienced an entire Holocaust, and then, you know, they got a plot of land, they made some money, and then they went on to enslave black people.
Shit was clever.
Which, right, it was clever. I just don't agree with the characterization that Jewish people are enslaving minorities. I don't.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that like goes into like the Jewish question, and then once you start going into that rabbit hole, you start to hear that that not that many people died in the Holocaust, and then they're like, hold on, bro, you seriously? Once you start going down that rabbit hole, you start to see like a lot of conspiracy theories that are very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the view stems from, and I could be completely off base, but I have a hip hop background, right? I know a lot of the hip hop artists that got into a lot of record deals that just ripped them for all their money. Like NWA is a very famous example of that. They were Jewish owned record labels, and there was a like a anti-Jewish sentiment because all these black musicians were getting, you know, into these terrible deals with Jewish record labels, and it kind of created this whole thing where like, oh, the Jewish people are doing the new slavery because they're like, but it's like at the end of the day, we're talking about we're talking about a minority of people, not minorities as a race. We're saying how many people are musicians, right? Like no, almost nobody in the grand scheme of things. So it's a little bit of a weird characterization in my view to say Jewish people are out here enslaving people. Like the mass. It's like maybe they're fucking over, some percentage of musicians, and even then, is I don't know. I just find it a little strange to just. There's an irony there, right? Where he's saying, how could another oppressed people go on to oppress other people? And it's like, how could another stereotyped people go on to stereotype people? It's also like, because he's stereotyping all Jewish people to be this like boogeyman that's enslaving people, and it's kind of, I find the statement a little ironic. But
I did like.
Go ahead, Tony.
I was gonna say right in the beginning, I chuckled pretty hard when he did the gay rant part, like where he was like, "Yo, the gay people got it figured out. If 100 years ago, if we were just wearing booty shorts with oil, we would have ended slavery. We would have got through all this oppressed shit." And to me, I'm like, damn, that shit is so fucking beast. Because I'm thinking about it, it's like this man is trying to make friends with the LGBTQ community, but then he just hits it with a backstab like into his joke, which is clever for me. But I think that, and then some of the other things, like he started going back to saying something about how, oh man, I forgot it now.
So about that first thing, I don't think it was so much a backstab. I think he was trying to illustrate like gay people have a privilege over black people, and I feel like he was just trying to illustrate that. I feel like that's what he was attempting to illustrate. Because when he was like, he's like, yeah, when you get into a discrepancy with a gay person or whatever, as soon as they call the cops, they're just a white person now. Like now it's just a white versus black issue, and it's like, and even that, it's like it's very, you're minimizing, a bigger issue here, right? But I feel like that's what he was trying to. I feel like that's what he was speaking to.
Oh yeah, and you brought it back to the point where I forgot, because that's when he said like it was a white gay guy, and when he called the cop, it was that. But if it was a black gay guy to call the cops, then they are both can get potentially shot.
He's saying
like,
the black person wouldn't, or the black gay guy wouldn't have called the cops.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Yeah, he was like, they wouldn't call it because now we're just two black guys. It doesn't matter what your gender is and shit, or what, not your gender, but your sexuality. That matters. And I thought, like, at the same time, I was like, damn, like the man hits points and then comes back and then hits jokes with the baby comments and shit like that. And I was confused on how they said, oh, Dave Chappelle saved the baby. I'm like, I didn't see him saving
I thought the baby joke was horrible. I was like, this is not funny.
I didn't like that joke. I'm not like it, but
he's in imbalance. I was like, what? Why do these two things you like equate? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like as much as he is trying to, I guess his form of comedy is like teasing, I guess, in a way, because he sees the inequality. I like that he said that he was jealous of gay people. That's something to admit. And he sounded like he was dead ass.
I think that was a moment of seriousness. Honestly, I think that was a very serious statement because I think there is a lot of jealousy for the progress of the movement.
Progress
in his comedy, which I think sucks. I think that it sucks that he looks at it as a zero-sum game where you can only care about one oppressed people at a time or something. Because I think it causes a lot of the statements where people call him transphobic. And I don't know if Dave Chappelle's actually transphobic. He makes a lot of transphobic jokes. He calls himself transphobic in the stand-up, but I think he does it ironically because that's what people call him. I think it's like his way of like trying to own what people call him online. He's interesting. The man is probably the best storyteller in the game. I can't argue against that. I've seen the guy live. I went and saw his first special at here in Austin, actually. His first Netflix special. When he was doing that tour, I went and saw that live, and the man's crazy. His control over the audience is just unmatched.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I find his storytelling and his punchlines to be just unrivaled. I feel like I could listen to Dave Chappelle talk about just about anything, and it'll be interesting. Like, he just has a way of speaking that is fun to listen to. And some of the jokes, even then, some of the jokes I still kind of was like, is this like, are you really just like, is this coming from a hateful place? Is sometimes how I felt. But unfortunately, like our previous conversation, right, we're saying, what are the rules of comedy, right? Like somebody was like, oh, I love comedy. Like you could joke about anything. And we're like, well, there's some things you can't joke about. Like you'll make a joke about it and people don't like it, and they think you're a piece of shit and stuff. And it's just like, I think Mateo said it, like comedy is just whatever works. Like if the people find it funny, then it's okay to make jokes about that thing. If people don't find it funny, then it's not okay to make jokes about it. It's really defined by the people who consume it, right?
I like that statement that he. I like the way he finished that show a lot. I thought it was cool that his friend Daphne, the obituary where she said, or not the obituary in the Twitter post, apparently she said that Dave Chappelle doesn't punch up, he doesn't punch down, he punches lines. I thought that was a clever way to do it. I thought that was really interesting, and I think comedy is very complicated, but I do think you can punch down. I do think that's a thing. I don't think it's necessarily like a joke always excuses things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was saying that. I think Daphne was definitely saying that maybe that it's just a joke, so that there should be some excuse there. It felt like more like Dave Chappelle was ultimately trying to illustrate like the LGBT community are more progress they're ahead of where Black people and minorities are in terms of like social injustice, right? And so it's like I can't be the one who's punching down. Like I'm more like, as a millionaire, he's saying he's more oppressed than some of these other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's really what he was trying to speak to when he was both speaking to the jealousy of the LGBT community, that they're basically ahead of them in terms of progress, like the state isn't like actively like killing them, although you could make arguments that it's a little bit more indirect with like like trying to make like gay marriage illegal, like that causes like a bunch of distress, and then like the whole transitioning is important for trans people. and that causes a lot of distress. And it's like anybody committing suicide over those things, it's like you could draw. There's a correlation between that and the rules that the state is imposing.
100%. Like you look at like the suicide rate among like trans teens and trans people in general, and you look at like violence against trans people. It's pretty high. I don't know what the comparison is between like the numbers between that and police incidents of violence against Black people. But I think that it's not impossible to care about both.
Yeah, I mean the raw numbers are way higher for like Black injustice with policing, because it's not just killing. There's like harming. There's getting in prison. Like it's those numbers get crazy, but percentage wise, I could be off base here, but the last numbers that I remember seeing was like the suicide rate amongst trans people was like 30%, which is like
that's nuts,
fucking insane.
That's
it's like
crazy.
It's like on par with like veterans. Veterans, I think, kill themselves at similar rates, which is also fucking insane.
That's craziness, man.
Because I think like 3 out of the 10 like military buddies we might have, like they might end up committing suicide. Like that's ridiculous.
That's sad. I will say, I think that if you are going through your life and you constantly have to whip out a friendship with a person from a different culture constantly to defend your behavior, you might want to rethink your behavior a little bit. Like I don't know. Like if you constantly have to reference your trans friend to prove that you're not transphobic, if you constantly have to reference your Black friend to prove you're not racist, maybe reevaluate yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. When he brought up his friend Daphne, at first it kind of felt like is this like I have a Black friend? Is this really what we're stooping to? But the story felt way more endearing to like chalk it up to just that.
I agree.
But yes, if like you said, if you're constantly having to say like, no, I advocate for all these racist policies, but I promise I'm not racist. I have a Black friend. It's like, like I don't know, that ain't gonna cut it. All right.
His name is Ben Carson.
Oh, God.
Do you really think he's making that book though that he said in the beginning?
I don't think so.
No way.
At first, I was like, "Damn, do you really think?" I mean, the titles, but like, do you really think he's making the book? Like, that would be a hell of a book. I would buy the book and see if I can get him to autograph it, and that way I can have something here. But oh, Dave Chappelle, did this book, and book's pretty fucking crazy, but signed.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't seen too much. I only seen one person on Twitter, actually, just one, that was calling for the cancellation of Dave Chappelle. Is this a thing after this special?
Yeah, a lot of people are.
I find that so strange.
There's some people
just because they're. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of people upset about it. Like I said, I think he's complicated. I think that calling for his cancellation is interesting. We've had to talk about cancel culture. I don't know if it actually exists. I think there's basically behavior and consequences. He knew he was poking the bear. That's the entire point of this special. It's trying to
100%.
It's comedy,
and I think that excuse works kinda sometimes. I think he is good at jumping back and forth across the line. I don't know how Dave Chappelle actually feels about trans people. All you can judge is based on his behavior and his specials. So I can understand the outrage, honestly. I can understand people being pissed off about it. I don't think it's going to do anything.
It's just weird to me, like, because back in the days, like with the comedians that were saying shit, like it would not sit well right now with this environment or the group of people that are or how this wave of our life is now. So it's like a lot of these sexual jokes or gay jokes or whatever jokes that come out now, it's a little people more not sensitive. I don't want to say sensitive. They're just more like their eyes are more open to what's disrespectful, I guess.
I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like Eddie Murphy's Raw. You ever go back and try to watch that one? That shit does not hold up. That is 90% just gay jokes and him making slurs about gay people. Like
that shit is.
It's just mean. Like it just comes off as mean now.
Yeah, and it's one of my all-time favorite comedy, like stand-ups. Like in my memory, I haven't seen Raw in over like 20 years or 15 years or so. But like, it was the pinnacle of what a stand-up should be in my mind, you know, which is crazy. Just thinking back, like how you know how mean it really is, right?
I
don't know.
I think comedy is interesting like that though, because like I watched Blazing Saddles this past week.
That fucking movie is good.
I rewatched it recently, and I've heard a lot of people like online say that like you couldn't make a movie like Blazing Saddles in nowadays because people would be too offended by the movie. And I don't think that's accurate, because I think that it's always very obvious in Blazing Saddles that the racist people are the bad people in the movie. Like there's no one watching that movie and they're like, man, these racist people building this train, the racist townspeople sure are the good guys in this movie.
I've never even seen a movie.
You've never seen Blazing Saddles?
It's a great movie.
I'll
the
check
classic.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
very charming.
I'm just like, I don't disagree with Tony that I think it is that people today are just way more sensitive. There's way more things that are, not only are there more things that are offensive, but the level to which people get offended is also insane. Like minor infractions are like, you know, people are trying to cancel your people are trying to contact your employers to try to get you unemployed, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I do believe that cancel culture exists, and sure, if we want to call it like consequence culture or whatever, right? That's fine as well. It seems like nowadays people are way more willing to try to take away people's livelihoods than it was before. At least, I mean, I wasn't alive like, you know, many years ago. So I don't know how common it was for anybody to try to, you know, quote unquote, cancel anybody. But throughout my life, this didn't seem like an issue until the internet age, and not even the internet age, until really like the Twitters, like the really like 2010 or so is like around the first times that I'm like, all right, people are you know, people are calling for these people to get removed pretty much from society.
Where is the where's the line with things like that?
Yeah,
because that's what I'm curious about, because I don't think that anyone here would disagree. I think there's been videos of like people going on racist rants and, you know, calling the cops on black people and things like that. I don't think anyone here is going to argue that it's fucked up that they put them on blast on the internet, right? I think that if you're being that level of racist, I don't think there's anything wrong with people blasting you on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Where's the line there though on how outraged you can be about that, I guess? Like, how angry should you be about things like that?
I think for me, if you say shit publicly, then there's consequences for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But going to a comedy show, you kind of have to have it like an open mind. Like things are going to be said. If you don't like jokes or don't go to the comedy show because you're going to get offended. That's what these comedians do. And some comedians go further than other ones. You know what I mean? Like Dave Chappelle's one of those that can go as far as he chooses to go. And it's just like, you know, it's whatever. But you go somewhere and you don't want to get offended, then, and you know that's going to offend you, then why go? And then now you want to do a cancel thing. Like, come on, guy. He's not really out here pitching forks and saying F the trans and F this and do, you know what I mean? You guys say this and this about him. He's going to use it in his skits. And then he's going to, you know, reverse it. And that's what he's going to do. That's what comedians do. So it's just the same thing with Kevin Hart. When he made his comment, they told him to apologize, or, you know, we're taking you off the gig that he was doing. He's like, I'm not apologizing for shit. And he did it. And then they tried to cancel him.
Yeah, fuck Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
that was way more hateful.
Yeah,
like he was talking about beating the gay out of his kid.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle coming and trying to stand and like hero like Kevin Hart was one of the moments too where I was like, J.K. Rowling, DaBaby, and Kevin Hart. Those are the people you want to choose to try to defend your comedy special. That's an interesting choice. That's
right.
just.
I feel like the specials. Sorry,
it's just courting a certain kind of mindset, basically, when those are the people you're standing for.
He's a Superman.
I feel like the special's better served without those defenses of those people. It felt really strange. Like on one end, I am sympathetic that somebody made remarks and their quote unquote dream. I'd probably say it's probably his new dream because probably his dream was to make it as an actor. Did that, probably make a lot of money. Did that, like sure. But his dream allegedly was to host the Oscars, and that was removed from him for comments that he made. And I'm sympathetic to that on a certain level, but on another level, he is a public figure, and he's saying some shitty things publicly. There's going to be some backlash to that. I don't know. I mean, to answer Mateo's earlier question of where does it end, or like I guess to what extent is acceptable. For me, I think ultimately it's like we put our money where our mouth is. You know what I'm saying? Like if when Mel Gibson said all his racist shit, like I stopped supporting Mel Gibson. When Kanye West did all his MAGA shit and I was not liking what he was doing, I was like, all right, I'm just not gonna buy his shit no more. And I feel like that's one extent. I find it a little bit strange when other people are trying to rally everybody to their positions and trying to like, you know, it might be like dozens of people, right, that really feel like this, but if they poke at the right, you know, nests or bushes or trees, right, they could like really fuck some shit over for someone, right? And it's like that doesn't take away from the hateful stuff that person might have said, but it goes to show like it required, like, you know, this very small group of people doing a specific action to try to fuck somebody over, where I personally feel like just don't support them. Like if Kevin Hart is hosting the Oscars and that pisses you off, just don't watch the Oscars. And when they, you know, hopefully they see, okay, this is related to that, and then, you know, maybe they learn their lesson, right? But
well, in that line of thought, though, I mean, there's a lot of like pre-production stuff that goes into something like the Oscars. So if they know that there's a controversial figure that is probably going to drop off a lot of their viewership, I understand dropping Kevin Hart.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're like publicly saying like, all right, if Kevin Hart's hosting the Oscars, I ain't watching this shit. There's nothing wrong with saying that. It feels like there's another extent where you're like contacting, calling, sending emails to people, basically trying, like saying this in such a way where your goal is to get the person off of the thing. I don't know. I know this is almost like a difference without distinction, right? But something feels off to me. One feels like way more malicious than really hurt. Like you're hurt by someone doing something, and then you're gonna go off and be an aggressor yourself. Something just feels a little bit off to me about that, but I don't know. But I'm with you. I'm also down to advocate for the cancellation of certain things. So, I mean, it depends on the extent of how bad something is, right? And maybe that just goes to show that, like, while I am pissed off about what like, I mean, not Kevin Hart, because that guy's a piece of shit. But while I'm pissed off about what some people say, maybe I'm just not as pissed as other people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it fair that when somebody new comes out, that the first thing everyone does is go dig for old fucking tweets and shit like that, like edgy tweets and shit? Is there a difference between trying to be edgy and you know, we've all said some really dumb shit on the internet, and God forbid one day, you know what I mean, something of mine gets pulled up or something like that? Like, do you think it's fair that somebody be held them up to their, you know what I mean, hold them up accountability 20 years later? Because at this point, we're going to be 40, 50 years old, and 30-year-old comment could pop up. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the fucked up thing with that situation you're describing is that there's no winning in that situation, really. Like, it's a mean game, basically, that people play where they dig up your old shit and then they throw it in your face and they're like, hey, what about all this shit you said? And even the people that apologize and they're like, yeah, I'm moved on past that. There's some percentage chance that apology is not going to be good enough. That the excuse of I've grown in 10 years is not going to be good enough. Now, granted, this is kind of with like the Kevin Hart thing, except Kevin Hart was a grown ass man when like this old shit they found was like he was still like 35 or something. And that's pretty fucking old to be making some of these statements. But I think with like some of these young kids, I think there was an athlete where they found like some like tweets or something from when he was like 15 and he dropped like the N-word or something like that. And the kid's like now 22 or something, about to like some of that shit feels kind of shitty. I don't know. It's complicated, man.
I think it's really fucking shitty. I think on two different levels. One, I don't think you should be going back to no little ass kids past to try to find whatever stupid shit. Kids are fucking stupid. Like, that's a
100%.
Like, to go back and try to hold children accountable, or try to hold some adult accountable to what they said when they were a child, and really destroy their future. Like, there's some athletes that maybe were going to college, maybe getting like, and their college teams drop them because they lose their scholarships because they fucking said the N-word like 7 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. That seems ultra fucking shitty. But beyond that, though, even Kevin Hart, if he said some shitty shit when he was 35 years old, like, that could have been me. Like, depending on what year, right? It's like, while I did get more wisdom or more empathy or knowledge as I've gotten older, it's also because the times are changing.
Yo, we were watching South Park. Y'all, I don't know if y'all remember South Park. Like, yo, they were openly saying FAG. They were openly saying like all these racial slurs. And I was just like, yo, this is pretty intense. 10, 15 years later.
It was just a different time.
21.
It was a different time. Years later. That's all it is. Just like Ren and Stimpy. I don't know if you ever watched Ren and Stimpy growing up.
Why is it so hard to watch Ren and Stimpy?
It's so ugly. The animations are so off-putting.
They look ugly, but I found it amusing.
The animation does look like you feel like you can smell every scene in Ren and Stimpy. They all smell bad.
That guy ended up being some sort of fucking pedophile or some shit like that. That guy's a fucking huge weirdo.
Yeah, I think it's the Ren and Stimpy guy, right? It's one of those animators from Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Well, I heard Nickelodeon has a whole other set of problems.
Yeah,
that Dan guy. There's some dude that used to work. He made all of that. He produced all these shows, iCarly, Victorious, all these really huge, big shows for Nickelodeon. And he had a foot fetish, and he would ask kids for their feet pics on the Twitter. And this guy was like amassing a foot collection. If you go back and look at iCarly and like all these shows, there's a lot of like feet scenes, and he was like super into feet and shit like that. So yeah, this guy was a fucking weirdo. Apparently there were predators, sexual predators working on the set, like the cameramen and shit like that. Like, they all have history with like shit like that. So like, apparently that was going on for a long time at Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon a few years ago let him go. Apparently Amanda Bynes, that girl, she like says that, you know, shit has happened. He did shit.
And where is this all at? Where did you see this at? Or you just something?
I'll send you like the videos.
Yeah, it's all over. There's been some articles about it and shit like that too. Yeah, it's craziness. Parents, don't let your kids get into the entertainment industry unless you're really keeping a close eye on them, because that shit's crazy.
It's all the camps that they go to, all these camps where the parents aren't allowed and shit like that. They're like, oh, they'll go to a resort, and then they'll tell you like, oh, but if you really want to get noticed, you got to go out by the pool. That's where all the girls, that's where all the talent gets picked up. Basically telling you strip down and go get into a bikini and go stand by the pool, and maybe one of the execs is gonna like what you look like.
I mean, to
like that.
To be fair, that's how we discovered Doughy. That's how we came up with, we got our
Terrible.
Dough in a bikini is a sight.
Yo.
A sight for no eyes.
He had his titties out last night bouncing him.
Oh my god, that was atrocious.
I like
Dude,
that.
He
I like
fucking
that,
took
I
a
like
tank
that
top.
I like that all three of us just made a conscious effort not to even acknowledge him.
I did.
Dude had a fucking tank top and he like pulled it in, so he just had like the shit like this with two tits hanging out.
Can we insert the image here?
Just don't fucking acknowledge it. I don't want to look at it. And he didn't give up. It lasted like 4 minutes before I was just like, put your fucking tits away.
There's gonna be an episode where I shave my entire body. I'm gonna do it, guys.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
We're gonna get shut down because of that.
Free the nipple.
Free the nipple. That's a fact.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Free the nipples. Sure. Not those nipples though. Those nipples need to.
I got the pepperoni. The pepperonis.
No, though. I got a question for you boys, man, because I'm actually curious to see what you guys would take on this. Regular way, right? The men since forever always propose to the woman, right? How would you guys feel if your significant other, your wife or whatever, proposed to you instead? Is that like something you would accept, or would you find it weird? Or is it something that's like, oh no, that's a man's job to do? Like we get on one knees and you guys accept us, or is it okay to do it? Let's start off with Doe. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was thinking about this a long time this week when I figured this was gonna be, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, of course you want to be the one who proposes and shit like that. You want to. Some people make more of a spectacle out of it than others. Some people are more private about it, but like, however you do it, you know what I mean. There's planning that goes into it, and so getting that question popped up on me. Like, if I was already planning on marrying you, then I just would hope that it's not in like a public place, because I'll feel a little embarrassed. But if I'm already planning on marrying the person and that person is like, listen, I just want to be with you, blah, 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 I'm cool with that shit. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna now stop talking to this person because, you know what I mean, she proposed to me. But like, I if the person I loved was, took me to the side, or we were wherever, she's like, yo, I want to marry you, I got us, I got you a ring,
and she gets down on one knees.
I mean, I'd tell her to get up. I'd be like, "Oh, get up." I mean, like,
would you feel like your masculinity just dropped a little bit because she's on her knees proposing to you?
I mean, like I said, it's embarrassing. Like, it would be like, like I don't want that to really happen. But like, if you love the person and it's a sign of love and respect, and times are changing. You know what I mean? These times are changing. But like, if the person that I'm with really, really wanted to like put that power hold on me, I mean, I guess I'll take it if I wanted to marry that person.
So the problem is that behind closed doors, she can kneel and do that to you, but in the public's eyes, you don't want that.
Oh yeah, I just hope it doesn't happen in public. Like, yeah, she could take me to the quiet room where nobody's listening or watching. And I don't know why this matters. Like, because even if it's around my friends and stuff like that, I'll still be like embarrassed, but I feel less embarrassed. You know what I mean? But I think it could be embarrassing.
That's interesting, because then it's not about. You don't have an issue with her proposing. You have an issue with others view you as. at
well,
that point.
yeah, because in society it's viewed as like, you know what I mean? But like
What-
at the end of the day, if that's how it went down, it's such a small fraction of my life. Oh, his wife proposed to him. Who the fuck cares?
Would you-
No
These
one
niggas
cares.
have been together for 15, 20 years. Like,
So Doey, given that response, how would you share your proposal story? Would you tell people that she proposed to you, or would you lie?
That's the
Man,
boy's
I'll
like
let-
nervous. Like,
bro, I'll let her say it, bro. I'll be like, listen, man, she'll tell you. She was brave enough to do it. She'll be brave enough to tell the story. You know, I pulled up on his big old fat old ass, gripped it, and then said, "Be my husband." Wow.
it's actually funny though, because I know somebody whose wife actually proposed to him, and he says it very proudly. Very proud. He's like, yeah, she proposed to me. That's how I need to be. I don't gotta propose. She proposed to me. I'm like, damn, okay. I mean, he's still proud to this day. But yeah, shit's new.
You gotta think.
Okay.
You gotta think the proposal, as much as it is you wanting to be with another person, it's like a business proposal. Like, all right, listen, nigga, we've been doing this shit a long time. Let's just get married, all right?
And I think marriage is a scam too, by the way.
It
Not
is. It's very Eurocentric thing to own somebody like that.
not even own. It's just the whole. It's just it's a paper thing, right? It's like it's gonna get off topic, but yeah.
How's it a scam?
You go.
Yo, it's the
You get down on one knee. You whip out there, and you're like, "Hey, you want to file joint taxes and get a tax break with me?"
And,
yo. Disney ruined it for everyone. All these princesses and all these prince stories and all this bullshit and all this fantasy fairy tale fuckery.
Or
All
did they
the
make it
relationships
better?
are cocks and pussies rubbing up against other pussies, and dicks playing swords. All right, that's all it really is. All right,
That's
Is this shit-
that's the most
Is this-
interesting take we've ever had on this show.
That's all,
Is
that's all
this-
a relationship is. Do we
Is
have
this-
a friendship?
oh
Yeah,
yeah, of
what's-
course. There's a friendship. There's a companionship aspect, of
What's
course.
the,
Okay, all right.
what's the sign
What's
for
the
that?
companionship to
Because
you?
we
late
got-
at night when you got the AC on 68, 67, you get so cuddled up and behind the ear.
Yeah, I have
Most-
no problem with someone or my wife proposing to me if she had to.
Same,
has
actually.
Huh?
The had
What's it about
I'd say Pucho was saying the had to that you tossed in there.
If she had to, why the
Yo-
fuck does she have to?
I'm imagining her getting down on one knee and she only reaches this nigga's knee. The disparity of height is so much.
Pucho, the had to is someone's got a gun to Tony's head and they're like, your wife's gonna propose to you or else.
You better say
I'm
yes.
okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Nah, but I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Like, I don't feel like my masculinity is at bay right now or anything like that. I don't care who's watching. Like, I love my wife. If she wants to do that, then cool. But you ain't gonna be grabbing my ass like how Doughboy said his shit was grabbed and
I
like
want my
grip
shit to
things.
get gripped.
Yeah, my shit ain't getting no gripped anything. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't see nothing wrong with it. It doesn't matter the sex or man, woman, or however you identify. I think it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Same. Yeah, I wouldn't care anyway. I think that public proposals are weird in general. I think it puts a lot of pressure on people doing a
A
public
lot.
proposal. So I think that there's some weird aspects of doing like I'm gonna propose to you in front of this entire movie theater or something. Like
What's up? What's up with the Disney proposal at Disney? What's up
People
with that?
love Disney.
I've heard that's a
I
thing,
hate
dude.
that shit. I hate that shit. Could you imagine the pressure on that person? If I say no, I'm the biggest asshole / bitch in the world right now in front of all these people. Because that's pressure that no one wants. None of us want pressure like that.
Mhm.
Even though I would succeed at it, I would just say yes and just get up and move away. But I don't want that pressure.
It would be hard for me to not go for the joke in that moment and be like, no, Never. No way. And walk away. And then you have the entire crowd gasp and come back like, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, right. Yo, that would be devastation. The amount of heartbreak your significant other would feel in that moment would be fucking terrible.
There'd be a little evil voice on my shoulder though, telling me how funny that would be.
Yeah. It's the Dave Chappelle thing, you know. He goes through that. And I think he always goes for the joke. Yeah, I wouldn't care too much beyond. I wouldn't want to be proposed to publicly, not because of the fact that someone's proposing to me. I just don't like mad attention. Like,
you are a very
like my
private person.
said, right? Like I'm not into these public proposals and things like that. So I don't know. I'd be a little bit bothered that everybody's staring at me, and then people are gonna start asking me questions. Are your friends? Oh, how was it? How was this? It's like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, I'm not interested in talking about this.
I'm actually curious. How did you propose to your wife?
Not really. I just told her to marry me.
You told her to?
Yeah.
No choices. We're getting married.
Aww.
Yeah, I never really asked you that.
It was the most sterile. Yeah, I just says like, yo, we should get married. And then we were like, yeah, let's do it. And then we started planning things.
Did you have an engagement ring or anything like that?
No.
Did y'all pick out one eventually, or was it? I know some people are doing no engagement rings now with their.
No, I don't think we did an engagement ring. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't think we did.
We're gonna get the commentary from Lacey.
We'll get the commentary. She knows this better than I know. I'm pretty sure we didn't get an engagement ring.
I think you did.
I was fresh out of college, broke as a joke. All right, couldn't afford an engagement ring to save my life.
No, I think you did because she has 2 rings. Maybe that she bought another one, but it was one that was real simple. It was like a silver band with a diamond, and then she has another one. I believe. I don't know. That's your wife.
She definitely does have 2 rings. So maybe I bought, but when we decided, I did not have an engagement ring. And I guess it's possible that we bought the wedding ring and she wore the engagement ring until the wedding itself. That's possible. I just don't remember this. I also don't find this that important. Like, even wearing rings, like, I don't wear my wedding ring all the time. I just put it on when I leave the house.
Yeah.
I got to keep these chicks off me. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Freaking, I do like like for my proposal, I did it at your house, and I told Pucho like, yo, like I plan on proposing this and that, blah blah blah. He's like, yo, you should do it at my house, or I think that's how it went down. I could be mistaken, or maybe I said, should I do it at your house? I asked you.
Probably. I don't think I told you to come to my little apartment and propose to your wife.
It was a Christmas
tiny little fucking railroad apartment.
it was a Christmas dinner, and it was fun. I proposed, and then my sister in the background, her loving
what
spirit.
an asshole, yo! I love Lena to death, but that was her. That was peak Lena. She was. Tony
She wasn't
was
even
on
paying
his
attention.
Knee. Tony was on his knee with a ring, and everybody was gasping. She could barely see what was happening. She was like, "What's happening? What's happening? Why is Tony down there? Oh my God, he's proposing." Say no, Emily. Say no. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, shit was ridiculous.
Oh,
and people, this shit's on video now. Like, this is in their proposal videos.
Yeah, I was like, wow. And in my head, I was like, what a fucking bitch. If that's any time to call a female bitch, that's the perfect time to call her a bitch.
Say no, Emily. I was like, oh my God.
That's fucking mean.
That's so mean.
But I mean, that's how their family rolls.
Yeah,
Tony
roll
don't
like
get
that.
to say shit because he's the biggest fucking asshole. So
I am. I'd take that.
I loved it. That was peak. Yo, when that happened, yo, me and Ever were fucking laughing hysterically. We were in the corner just like dying. Like,
They love my demise, yo. Them two together, they love my demise. It's just terrible. Friends right there, buddies. Friends. True friends. But yeah, marriage is a scam. I go back to that because you asked me a question, or you try to say why. I think marriage is a scam because it's like it takes more of a hassle to get divorced, right? And I'm not saying like all marriages are it's a scam for that necessarily. I'm just saying the process of it. It's like all has to do with money. Like you got to go to the court, you got to pay this to do that, and then now they're doing well, we didn't have to do it, but there was therapy things you got to do now. I guess someone mentioned to me like to get married, you got to pay to go see a therapist or something to make sure you guys are happily or something. It was something someone just recently told me. I don't know if it's a real thing or not. I never really went back to check on it, but
are they religious? Because I know like
the Catholic Church will make you do some
Catholic
stuff.
Church will make you do like priest counseling.
Yep.
To make sure maybe that you guys are getting married the right way and you guys are in the right mindset and all that kind of stuff. It's actually kind of smart too. Because believe it or not, I'm not no big religious guy, but that shit is actually really cool. Like, cause like, what if the priest ends up saying like, nah, you ain't cut out for this shit, and then you don't get married and you don't have to get a divorce like 2 years from now. You know, it's pretty dope.
I
don't know how it actually works. I don't even know if you got to pay the money to do this or what the whole deal is.
It's the Catholic Church. You got to pay money to do it for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the scam I find behind it. It's like you got all this money you got to put into it, and honestly, too, people who have these big extravagant weddings, awesome. But fuck out of here. I'd rather put that money into the honeymoon or into our house or something that we want to get together. You know what I mean? Because people are still paying off their wedding like 4 or 3 years later. It's like, God.
Yo, listen,
I was gonna say these people, they have these huge extravagant weddings, right? And you start off your marriage by getting in debt by having this huge extravagant wedding. And then as we've previously covered, the number one argument in marriage is finances. So you're starting your marriage off with this debt you have to pay off, just leading to more arguments.
Sex, Mateo. Sex. Came to an agreement. Sex.
The number one argument in marriages is sex?
And money.
He is actually accurate. The number 2 argument is actually sex. I looked it up after that.
Is this the one where Tony's like sex and money? And it's like, no, the number 1 is money. No, it's sex and money. You realize there could only be one number 1, Tony. Sex, it's money, then sex, right?
right fucking here, though.
Right below the cups.
Right fucking here.
I don't know. I don't think it's a scam. I think you pay for what you want out of it, right? Like me and my wife, we did a very small wedding. We actually got married in my apartment. Mm-hmm. Very small, like 20 friends were just there. Very tiny thing. And then like a year later, when we weren't so broke, we had like a small, like actual wedding. And even then it was really small. I think the total was like $2,000 or something like that.
Was that a ceremony, or was it just like basically like the reception party aspect of the marriage?
No, we didn't even do a party. It was just the ceremony. It was like we ate food, or we had the ceremony, we ate food, and then everybody left. It was very.
I was picturing a different one. I was picturing like you did your ceremony in the apartment, and then like the announcer came up with a microphone. He's like, "Please join us in 12 months for the reception."
No, that'll be epic. Nah, man, I'm pretty frugal. So I'm like Tony said, I'd rather spend my money other ways. But I mean, to that point, those people would rather spend their money on a wedding. So
it's funny too, because most of them would be like, yo, I would have not spent this much money on a wedding. I would have just done it on the honeymoon or something else. Like a lot of people who get married tell you, yo, don't go so ham on this. Trust me, don't do it. It's just one night and you're going to be drunk half the times and you're not even da-da-da-da. But it's like, the wedding's really mostly for the woman. You know what I mean? Like that.
I think that the wedding is mostly for other people, honestly. I think it's mostly you just throwing a party for your buddies and
your wife.
Even the wife. I mean, because even my buddies that have gotten married, like, they barely remember their weddings. They don't have a lot of wedding memories because they were just running around the entire time. I forget which wedding it was, where we went and got a McDonald's afterwards because they didn't even get to taste any of the fucking food that was there at the wedding.
Hey.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of upset with my shit too because I didn't really fully enjoy the food at my wedding at the house that I had at my house, because I mean it was pretty good food.
I enjoyed it,
and I didn't even get to drink. Pucho and Ever brought a bottle of Jameson so we could take shots and everything. I didn't get one shot out of that bottle.
Not even one?
Not
I
one
would have been
fucking
like,
shot.
feed me. feed me. I'd have been like, right.
One of the drunkest weddings that I've ever been to was actually a dry wedding. There was no alcohol allowed, but we were in the changing room with a bottle, just drinking out of the bottle before the ceremony.
Jesus.
I was a groomsman in a wedding, and we were doing that. Mm-hmm. We had our flasks. We were getting ripped in the like little sad boys in the dressing room. And shit.
Yep, that was us. It was a completely dry wedding, but all the groomsmen had little flasks. We had a bottle in the dressing room.
Nah, yeah, weddings are fun, but I don't think they're worth it. Take a nice, relax, you and her, yes, vows at the courthouse, and move on, and then plan a bigger party.
Yeah. I guess I don't disagree with that. I find it strange to call it a scam, though. Like, a scam implies like you're promised one thing and you're given something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone's cheating you out of something. And I'm like, I don't know. You get what you pay for. Like, they tell you the price and you pay that shit, and then you get it and then you regret it. That's different. Yeah, that's just buyer's remorse. That's very different. Like,
boy looks happy. Doey, I'm surprised you don't want a big ass wedding. You seem like you would be the one out of the four of us most likely to have like a huge party.
Listen, if I ever get married to a woman who has the generational wealth behind her family, absolutely 100%. I don't got money for that shit. I'm poor. Dude, it would take me years to save up for fucking a wedding that extravagant that I want. But yeah, I'd go all the way out.
Take out a loan, just like the rest of the people do.
Okay, Doey. Money is no object. How big is your wedding? How crazy is your wedding getting?
It's gonna be like fucking Comic-Con.
Damn.
I'm gonna rent out the fucking Javits Center.
Javits. See, for me, if money was no object, I think there's two tiers. I think there's like me, where it's just like money is an object, so it's like I'm not gonna go that hard, and I'm also don't like that much attention, so I'm not gonna go that hard. Then there's the middle, which is like, you know, all the normal, somewhat extravagant weddings. Like, I'm not interested in that. But if money was no object, I'd probably go all out. Like, I'd land in a helicopter. I'd fucking ride the fucking ostrich into the fucking I think up to the fucking altar.
You'd ride out an ostrich?
I don't know, man. I'd ride some shit. I'd ride an exotic animal.
I can see Doughboy riding that fucking castle. What's that fucking bird's name?
The cassowary.
Castle. Yeah, I could see him riding that shit.
He mastered that.
There's only one bird more elegant than an ostrich, though. Ostriches look like they're ready for like a black tie event, right? They have like the black and white. You know, the other bird though. Penguins, dude. Penguins are suited up constantly.
Yeah.
If I had money or like that, I would have my best men, my groomsmen, penguins, and
just all penguins.
Just fucking have them laced up with penguins, and then put your names on it. Like, I'll put Pucho's name on it.
Oh,
like, this is Pucho.
You're talking about buying a fucking tuxedo.
No, I'm talking about having animals as my fucking groomsmen and shit. And I'm just gonna put your name on it, so this represents you.
You're gonna brand the animals?
No, I'm gonna put a tag on them. And they're just gonna sit there all nice, and then we're gonna all walk out. But that's Pucho, that's Everett, that's who, that.
You're gonna waddle out. I mean,
y'all are gonna waddle out. Yeah.
Waddle. Tony's a fucking idiot. What is this? He's gonna get actual penguins for his wedding. That's what he's talking about.
See, I think money's no object. I think I'm doing just a straight up like. There's gonna be a vacation basically. It's gonna be like a week-long vacation somewhere, nice and tropical with a beach and some water. And there's just gonna happen to be a wedding on one of the days. But the entire point is actually just gonna be the vacation, the trip.
I'm gonna have a table full of drugs.
Damn.
Just full of them. All the pills and everything you want. Except there's going to be somebody there who'll be like, you've had too much. I'm going to have Supreme. I'm going to hire Supreme. That's what I'm going to do.
You're
no
grown.
More drugs for you.
That's responsible as fuck, though. Honestly, I ain't going to lie. That's responsible.
You're grown.
It's got to be someone. It's got to be someone that's sober, though. Because you can't have a drunk or anybody, because they're gonna be like, "Oh, wait, did you already grab one? All right, you can go ahead and grab another one." It's like
I'm gonna walk into Doey's party and I'm gonna start my stopwatch, and I'm gonna be like, "Okay, 2 hours in is when I'm gonna leave because that's when this shit's gonna start kicking in for everybody, and this wedding's gonna get real weird."
I don't know, man. Y'all watch Crazy Rich Asians?
No.
Oh wow, it's a good movie. But I basically I throw a wedding like that, which is like a fucking million people, everybody dressed. I'll cop everybody's fucking outfits. Like I'm like everybody's coming out, just extravagant, you know. And it would just be like a costume party. Everybody wilding the fuck out. Animals. Yeah, it could be some drugs, you know. Why not? It'll be a drug table for Doey. Doey could have his drug table. Doey's drug table.
Might have a fucking giraffe bring me in. I'll just hang from his neck.
You're not hanging from anything. You can hang off of something for like 0.2 seconds before your body will collapse.
Lies. I can out-hang you.
No, you cannot out-hang me.
Oh my God. I want to see this.
Next time we all meet up, wherever our next meetup is for the pod, we're gonna find a location. We're gonna record it. We're gonna
bars, and we're just
hang. We're gonna see who can last long.
Cool.
Booch is down another 12 pounds, dude.
Yeah. Put $20 on it.
Damn, he upped it from 5 to 20.
Man, that's crazy.
I'm down for that bet.
I take my hanging seriously, all right? I hang the fuck out. I be hanging. I was a monkey bar bitch when I was a kid, all right?
Nah, monkey bars were fun and dangerous. That's where you learn to put your get your knees up, hang it, and then the next part was to try to unhang yourself.
Mm-hmm. That flip.
I remember being depressed as a kid that I couldn't, do the monkey bars. And then I remember one day it just clicked for me and I was monkeying around, man. It was the best. I felt like one of the elite kids on the playground.
Would you find it a little racist that they called the monkey bars?
No, I think monkeys hang like
that.
Those are they put monkey bars in monkey cages. Like I think they like those types of things to no. Why would it be racist? It's for children.
I don't know. I just there's some things that people find oddly they'll be like, is that a little borderline? People find things borderline racist. Like you can if they
only call monkey bars when like black people are using them, then yeah, I would call it racist because
if they had another name when other people were using them, but they were
like of course that'd be racist then, but like we're just talking about
everybody's a monkey on monkey bars.
He's a fucking strange person.
Yeah, he is. Another thing too is Latino X, Latine. What would you guys like to be called?
Butchered.
Another thing. So for the Hispanic Heritage Month, which is probably somewhat of a controversial name. Like maybe it should be called Latinx Heritage Month or Latina Heritage Month or something along those lines. Anyways, Hispanic Heritage Month is coming to an end. And, we came across some articles that we read and we thought it'd be interesting to discuss the origins of some of these words to refer to people. Even that's a complicated thing, but basically people that come from Latin America or come from Spanish descent and things of that nature. What should they be called? Discussing how you feel about certain terms. How do you yourself would like to be identified? Things of that nature.
Let's just start off with how we'd like to be identified. Like which term we like. You can do Doey and we'll do the normal round that we do.
I mean, I've always just Latino.
Really?
That's Latino has always been like since I was young. Hispanic was like a white way to call someone Spanish or like Latino. I felt like Hispanic was always what was on like the paper that you had to scribble in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Latino
I always found it interesting that people in the hood call Hispanic people Spanish. So because that means you're from Spain, but that's absolutely not what anybody was from. Actually, I had one friend in the hood from Spain, but almost nobody's from Spain in my life, and yet everybody in the hood calls all people like who speak Spanish, so they just call them Spanish.
That's interesting.
I just always found that interesting. But what about you, Tony?
I don't really care for the name as much, but I've always said I'm Hispanic.
Gotcha.
I don't the Latino X, all that extra shit. I just think it's just extra shit. Like people just want to be more specific to nationality and shit like that. But it's just I understand the Spanish part because that was just the ignorant shit in the hood, right? Like, oh, you're Spanish. Like people never really understood that Spain. They never really correlate those two together.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. That was also normal to. Oh, you're Spanish. I even said it sometimes. Like, yeah, I'm Spanish. Like whatever. And if you can't tell, I'm Spanish. But Hispanic was the normal thing. That, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I take. I like Hispanic. It don't matter if I had to pick one. That's it.
What about you,
Not much
Pucho?
to it.
Me, historically, I would probably say Hispanic, but as of late, I found all the terms to be so confusing that I just completely dropped even mentioning whether I'm Hispanic or not. I'm just a brown guy. And my parents are from another country, and I'm American. I don't know. I don't really tell anybody what I am. Like I'm Hispanic. I haven't said that in years.
That's fair. I think that growing up, I always used Hispanic. That was the one that I used, and I think it's because, like Doey said, it was on all the forums. So I was like, okay, that's the easiest way to call myself. In researching, Latino is the other one I always used. I do like Latina. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting way to have like a non-gendered term. I'm not a Spanish speaker, so I know that there's some people that have issues with that because Spanish is a gendered language. There's Latino, Latina. Like I think it's cool to have a term that's just a neutral one. I think it's a cool way the language evolves. I think Chicano is interesting. I didn't realize that one was specific for people from like Mexico. I didn't realize it was specific for like Mexican Americans. And I always thought that was a cool term, but I never knew when it was right to use that. But so yeah, I like Chicano. I think that's a good term too. Hispanic, on researching over the past few years, it does have some weird roots to it and some weird shit that goes along with it. It implies being like a Spanish people, which not quite accurate anymore. I'm, a couple hundred years at least removed from my Spanish, from any like Spain people being in my bloodline.
And it's also weird because like being Dominican, right? There's a lot of native people and a lot of black that's mixed in with some of that European, right? And to almost like to call yourself Hispanic, like of Spain, is still to deny, like it almost feels racist, like you're denying your blackness and denying
your indigenous roots,
your indigenous roots, to say like I'm just European, like I'm still just Spanish. Like something about that, reading about it does feel a little racist, like the origin of that word. But I don't know. For me, growing up, I don't know why it felt like the people that called themselves Latino were like Central Americans, like Mexican, like pretty. And I just did not identify with Central Americans. Like I felt like I was like Caribbean, right? Like, and they have very different cultures. Like the music's different. The way they eat, their behavior is like very distinct. So I just never identified with the word Latino, like ever. Like it just to me means like Mexican or like just all those Central American countries, pretty much.
That's funny because I would never have seen it like that. Like,
yeah, I also would have never seen it like that either.
Yeah, because to me, like, go ahead.
Just perspective, I guess, how I was taught the word Latino and what I thought it was meant when I grew up.
Yeah, I would have never seen
like
it as
a body. A body is a Latino.
Well, no,
Dominican.
You're being specific. Like a body is not Latino. A body is Boricua. He's a Puerto Rican.
They are Latino. Like,
no, they are Latino, but I'm saying no one's calling a Hispanic, oh, you're a body, as a reference to saying you're Latino or Hispanic. You know what I mean?
Puerto Rican people are Latino to him, and I'm saying the way I understood the word, even though I knew that was the case, I never met Puerto Rican people that called themselves Latino or Dominican people that call themselves Latino. Like to me, so I'd never associated that word with those people. Like to me, it was like a lot of Mexican people would call themselves Latinos. Like, so it just, to me, it felt like, and again, this is me growing up, this is me as a kid, right? So like, I mean, I don't have a lot of perspective in the world. I'm like, did I say something interesting?
Luca hit the button.
Okay, Luca. Luca's trying to get the party started. He's like, yo, fuck all.
There might be a good bit there of me jumping. I was not prepared for the hype words.
It scared me. It scared me. I didn't even expect him to hit it.
He's looking down at it again now. He's like, hold on, that just made a noise.
No, because he probably heard it on my shit.
He got scared. He got scared.
Luca's hyped.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I see what you're saying now. That you wouldn't have. I get it now. I was
just
confused
like
at
even
how,
Eddie Guerrero, the Latino Heat. It's like,
oh yeah,
I don't identify with the Latino Heat. All right, like, I don't.
What was the guy that did the sexual tease dance? What's his name? Before he got on the. Before he had like the
the wrestler
the towel.
Oh, you're talking about Razor Ramon?
No, it's
no. You're talking about Val Venus. That guy's not even
Val Venus.
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. No, you're right, dude. Val Venus is. Yo, that was interesting. He had like a bunch of drills, like drilling holes and like showing it like his video, and he's like walking in. Like it's nothing but sexual innuendos.
Jeez.
Comes out with the towel, he's like rubbing his body down. Like that shit was terrible. Val Venus.
Val Venus.
Jesus.
So
But-
I forgot all about that.
So I will say that like my friendship with y'all has been awesome because I grew up in Texas. I grew up in central Texas. So like the Latino people that I've met are just all Mexican. It's mostly Mexican people that I've met. So it's cool like meeting people that are different flavors of, of like in the Latino spectrum basically. It's interesting.
It's awesome. You got like the Neapolitan right here. You got the Cuban, you got the Bori, you got the Dominican.
I didn't meet my first Puerto Rican person until I went up to New York back in like my college days.
No way.
Yeah, the girl I was dating at the time. That was the first Puerto Rican I've ever met in my life. Like she's half Italian, half Puerto Rican.
Oh, you're lucky.
That's a mix.
Yeah. What a mix.
Yeah, it's all the white girls they be claiming they're Puerto Rican. They be just pure white. They just want some. They just want to put some sazon in their body, like you know what I'm saying. They just want some flavor. Like, it was always funny. All the white girls in school and in junior high back in the day, high school, they're either Puerto Rican or Cuban. They're just all white. I always found that so interesting. They don't speak a lick of Spanish. They don't know where their family's from any of these countries, but they're Puerto Rican or Cuban. I don't know. I always found that shit so fascinating. I'm like, you lying, all right? You lying. There ain't no reason to lie.
It is funny because I'm trying to remember when's the first time I met another Hispanic person, or not like Hispanic, but like a Cuban or a Dominican. And I think Pucha might be the first Dominican I've ever met.
Wow.
Growing up, and I know I met a Cuban before, but I think Pucha was the first Dominican.
I guarantee you've met a Cuban before me living in Florida.
Before you, yeah. But I'm saying Dominican. Like, Pucha was the first. And I didn't even know this nigga was Dominican at first. I thought this nigga was like Venezuelan or some shit, probably. Not fucking. I wasn't going to say Cuban. Don't even. He was looking for Cuban or Puerto Rican.
Well, that's so interesting.
Yeah, like I never really, in middle school, like growing, like 6th grade, I'm like, I didn't know what the fuck a Dominican was.
And when I moved to Florida, everybody was like, "You half black, half white," because it's a common mix in Lake Worth, and that's what everybody used to ask me, like if I was mixed. Yeah, because the Cubans be so white. In Florida.
I think the idea of self identity is interesting. It's very cool. I mean, I've told you all this before. I think I've hinted at this. It took me a long time to be comfortable with my brownness. I grew up with a lot like a majority white school, basically. Especially in my early like developmental days, elementary. I had classes where I was the only brown dude in there, partially because I was in like the gifted and talented stuff. So like, it was all white kids plus me,
Yeah.
So it took a long time for me to get comfortable with my brownness. Speaking of that cancel culture stuff, I made some jokes back in my high school days that I would not be proud of making now, and giving the cosign to some of my white buddies to make jokes like that back in those days.
Right.
Would you care to
No,
No.
dude, come
Someone said he's
on,
not
No.
proud of it.
It's
Why
a
the fuck?
joke.
Kid,
Obviously,
this is like akin to him being like, "Who was it? Who were you
Yeah.
with? What is their first and last name?"
give me their social. It was a joke. Obviously, he's not going to say. He's not proud of it.
But yeah, so it took me a long time to self-identify. Then it's cool. It's interesting. I mean, I've recently like started celebrating like Day of the Dead because I think it's such a cool holiday. I think it's so cool having a holiday. It's just about remembrance and dealing with death in a positive way, like dealing with death in a way where you're celebrating a person's life instead of being sad because that person's gone. I think it's a very Mexican style holiday to take sadness and turn it into something positive.
Yo, grieving is a serious thing, and being able to have some light through all that darkness is very good.
And I think you see things like that in a lot of Latino cultures, like the specific cultures where there's a lot of like we're people that it's made from sadness, we're people that's made from rape and conquest, and you turn it into something positive. You give a spin on it. You add that flavor that Pucha was talking about.
Yeah, adobo. But we don't fuck with Goya no more.
Fuck Goya.
Fuck Goya and fuck
We don't fuck with Goya?
Man, it's so sad too because I like
Goya's delicious.
those Goya beans are
Goya.
so fucking good.
Goya beans are the best.
They do have the lock hold, the like headlock.
Everybody out here
sazon.
copping Badia now. Like,
I've been copping Badia though.
I do the HEB brand here in Texas because the HEB brand's pretty on point.
Yeah, Goya's the best though. Big sad. Now, yeah, but I guess going back a bit to the how to identify people, I guess. How do you feel being a part of, like, you know, the Latinx community, as some people would say, right? Like, because me personally, I wouldn't, like, while I wouldn't personally identify, like, if someone asked me, I would never say, "Oh, I'm Latinx" or whatever. It's just it's not something I would say for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just too new, and I grew up with the terms I grew up with, and I never really had a problem with them.
I agree.
Everything I read, while there are things that are somewhat problematic, which is kind of why I dropped even the Hispanic thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really say like I'm Hispanic. I'll just say, yeah, like I'm Dominican. Like, all right, yeah, like my family were mostly black Dominicans. Like you know, like I kind of, you know, while I would do that, I'm not offended if somebody called me Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, Latina, nothing like that. I do find there's something about our society today that there's like this race to like keep coming up with newer and complexer terms to describe very, very like specific things that I don't know what value it really brings us sometimes. Like, I think like not to knock any like trans people or nothing, but like there's so many terms now. Like, believe it or not, if you go and look at, there's like there's dozens of ways to like identify people. It almost comes off like if they're just names now. Like, it's not even just to like because like they're so specific in some cases that they might be the only like there's people that just make up their own things too. Like, I find that interesting. Like, because it's almost like you're coming up with a new name for yourself as opposed to an identification of like a group or something.
Are we talking about like the cis white gendered male or whatever that, like those names? Like, what are you talking about? What names?
Well,
like there's he, him. There's
she, they, them, their.
Right. There's.
Can you call somebody a their?
You can. It's complicated doing like the they pronoun. I would use it all day. I respect people's pronouns. But I definitely have to slow myself down a little bit whenever I'm talking, or my trans buddies that prefer they. I'll slip up sometimes, and they just have to correct myself. I think self-identity is important. I think that having terms that to identify yourself, a box to put yourself into, I think it's an important thing. It makes you feel a little bit less, just kind of floating. It gives you an anchor a little bit for who you are as a person.
I'm sorry. I don't find that, like, I don't care for that, I guess. maybe I'm weird, but I don't need to be identified as something to feel like a part of something. You know what I mean? Like that's why
I think you're privileged though, like because you're a cisgendered man who's straight. Like you're almost the default. Like so, like you're not gonna you don't really need a reason to
identify as something.
Identify yourself. But you see, a lot of women are proud to be women, right? Which is not something that a lot of men are proud to be men. You know what I'm saying?
Just men.
Yeah. It's because we're kind of, unfortunately, the default.
Yep.
Like, and so when I talk to my wife, she's proud of all these things about being a woman that I don't have feelings similar to that as a man.
Is it because
being a man is celebrated so much all throughout society that we don't feel the need to have to celebrate it?
Yeah, I mean, it's why you don't have like white pride parades except by fucking racist people. it's the default. It's been the way it has been. So it's not a thing that needs that level of celebration. It's like a Hispanic Heritage Month, which I think that name might change, honestly.
To what?
Probably Latino Heritage Month, Latina Heritage Month, something like that.
Did they take a vote on it? Like, is there going to be like a voting thing amongst the Hispanics or Latinos, Latinx?
That'd be funny. The ballot just shows up in your mail one day.
Yeah.
I think a White Heritage Month would be kind of cool. Believe it or not. Maybe there'll be some Nazis and KKK people that'll try to what's the word? Like, I guess use it as a cudgel to like shit on other groups of people. But I find this so interesting that we look at it's kind of, there's like a little bit of a racism in this as well, but we look at all people really except for white and black people as where are you from, what's your heritage, like what's your background. And unfortunately black people have been robbed of some piece of that, like a lot of black people, right?
Yeah, they don't know where they're from specifically because it's just generations of being stolen.
Right. And white people, believe it or not, they do still have some of that. Like you got the Irish people, you got the Italian people, you got like Gaelic people, you got like all the there's a heritage to them, but over time it just becomes whiteness as all these groups become accepted. And I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to go back to kind of celebrating some of that heritage, to kind of show the diversity in white people as well, and show that they're not just one big mass of people. And maybe it'll dispel a little of how like how big like a white group really is into, I guess, subgroups or whatever. But
the Italians just had this little festival in Little Italy, and really nice. Celebrating Italian culture.
I don't think I necessarily disagree with you, Pooch, actually, because I think that would be interesting to get into, because white has always been this kind of weird moving target. There was a time when the Irish people were not considered white. They were lower on the social structure, and they were not considered white people. They were the immigrants that everyone was scared about, was coming to steal their jobs, was these Irish people. And there's been moving targets like that. I mean, Greek people from Greece, are they white?
Right. Like our society considers, if you're from Europe, you're white at this point. Mm-hmm. Like all those cultures are not white people.
America's weird though. America just like, it's like almost nothing outside of America exists to Americans.
Yeah.
We don't give a fuck what's going on in China or any of these other countries. Not the way they're invested in our culture.
Yeah. What's even interesting too is a lot of other cultures, basically, if there wasn't slavery somewhere, they don't think of race the way we do.
Yep.
Like you see a lot of Spanish like colonized places, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, we think of race the way that Americans think of race as well, right? Mm-hmm. But if you go to Europe and stuff like that, a lot of these people don't even they don't think of themselves as really white, because they don't think in those terms like we think in those terms, it's interesting.
There's some crazy shit that out of like Japan and Korea too. Like there's, I mean, we all watch anime. We've all read mangas. There's blackface in a lot of older like media like that, and it's because they don't have that history, so they don't understand that it's like an offensive thing necessarily. There's still modern day. There's art. There's Japanese and Korean like K-pop artists and things like that, and J-pop artists that are getting in trouble for dressing in blackface because they don't realize the racial connotations that go along with that, the history that goes along with shit like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting as Americans we see that and we'll instantly paint them as pieces of shit without really realizing that other societies don't think of race the way shit. Look at the Brazilian people. They like in Brazil they have, I think it's like over 200 races or something. Like they break themselves down to that many like levels.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's insane. And they have a lot of racist problems in Brazil.
They do have a lot of
Brazilians break themselves down that much?
Yeah.
Brazilian people with the same backgrounds. I think lighter skin is king over there. So like if you're darker skin, you're lower on the social structure, and yeah, it's crazy stuff. Like it depends on how much of your mix is African American or darker skinned, and that it's crazy shit, dude.
Yeah,
that's fucking wild.
Yeah, they have so many words to describe the color of their skin. There's like they'll be like, I'm white, or I'm really white, or I am kind of white with a little bit of red, or I'm white with a little bit of yellow, I'm white with a little bit of brown, I'm white and black. And you're like, huh? Like, but they have it's insane, like how the race breakdown, and some people want to. It's something that's been discussed a bit. I know it's just kind of a deviation, but I think it's all like in the same realm of self-identification. Because it's sort of what I was teasing out with. The Brazilians have hundreds of words to describe their race, and on some level, it's really cool to have a specific thing to refer to yourself as. It actually muddies the water a lot to say, like, how do you figure out, like, if there's some kind of thing that's happening disproportionately to some group of people? It's hard to figure out what collection of these hundreds of words are actually grouped together enough to say these are the people getting discriminated against. Like that becomes very difficult to look at, you know?
Yep.
I could see that.
It's there's like trade-offs there where like you might get more satisfaction. Some people get more satisfaction in how to identify themselves. And then on another aspect, there's just a problem in keeping track of people and keeping track of data and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting, in Brazil, they went from a small number of races to hundreds of races. And I think there's some movement to try to kind of like, you know, bring that down to some manageable number of races to kind of look at data pretty much. But yeah, they still have race problems over there that make a lot of this stuff difficult.
No, that's interesting. I think we're probably about to shut it down here for this one. This might catch you all off guard, but I'm curious. I'm just in the interest of Hispanic Heritage Month. I'd be curious if we can all share like one thing that, you know, like we're proud of with our culture. There's something that makes us happy about our culture, or something we enjoy about our culture. I think that'd be kind of cool to do if y'all are up for that.
Just like something we like about our culture.
Yeah, just something that makes you happy, something that makes you proud to be a Latino, Latinx, Hispanic, whatever you want to call yourself.
I guess the fact that we're just really prideful, like when it comes to like no matter what type of Hispanic, like if you're Cuban, Dominican, Puerto Rican, or whatever, like we kind of like stick together very well. We don't kind of like separate in a way, even though we make sure we have our own identities. Like, oh, I'm not Cuban or this and that. Because growing up, for me, if someone said that I was Cuban, I'll be disrespected. I'd be like, Cuban, the fuck? Like, I ain't Cuban or Dominican, or you know, vice versa too. People be like, I'm not Puerto Rican. Call me Puerto Rican, like. But I feel like that's changed now to where it's like, no, I'm not Puerto Rican. Like we don't view it as like a disrespect anymore. Maybe I don't. Maybe others do. But I'm saying like I feel like it's changed in a process to where now it's like Spanish people are kind of like joining houses now and just like kind of looking out for each other, I guess.
I like that.
I don't know.
What about you?
For me, it's food. Yeah, just food. It brings everybody together, and it brings people of all cultures and races, and I like the food a lot. Uh, um, I won't steal anything from anyone else, but I have another one. But yeah, the food for me, that's it. It's really where it's at.
I've never been disappointed with any of the food that I've had from like that y'all have shown me. Like Doey's mom throws down. She makes some of the best damn food. The Cuban joints that you've taken to me to when I've gone to Florida, like just everything's so damn good. So damn good.
That Cuban sandwich from Twin Peaks.
Oh, I didn't have that sandwich.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there next time I'm there.
All right, we're done there. Me, kind of riffing a bit off of what Mateo was mentioning earlier with the Day of the Dead stuff of trying to flip something from a negative to a positive. I personally love that. It seems like across the board, like Hispanic, Latinos, Latinx people, Latinx, sorry, it's an English word. There's like a sense of like nothing is taboo in terms of what we could make jokes about. I fucking love like how like someone will and Dominicans are even more so in that camp where they'll joke about anything. Like someone will just have died. We're at the funeral. And someone will crack a joke about how that dead person ain't shit, and like, but it's like necessary, you know, like it's like it's a way of coping or grieving or dealing with life. But it just I don't know. There's a strange positivity to it that I don't know. I personally love. I mean, I love laughing. I'm a pretty happy guy. So I love, I don't know, I just love the idea of like anytime anything is bad, we're just going to try to make light of it and just try to find happiness,
Damn, that's my exact one.
Damn.
That's the same thing I was going to mention because there's this quote that I love. It's by Guillermo del Toro. There's this reporter. She asked him, you surround yourself with so much fantasy and terror in your work. How do you manage to remain joyful and like loving and happy? That's not quite a direct quote. And his response was, porque soy mexicano. And I thought that was just such a good answer. I thought it was just so good because there's so much, like I said, we're a culture that came from just really negative things. Like we came from conquest and rape and subjugation. And there's always this joy. There's always this happiness, even in the dark times that is possible. And it's, I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing for our culture. I think it's one of the best things about our culture, besides the fucking food. We make the best food,
the food
hands down.
What was your extra one, though?
No, what you said at the end, comedy, laughing, being funny, telling stories. I don't know anybody who likes to laugh more than like Cuban people, and like we just like to make fun of everything, kind of like what Pucho was saying. We really like to laugh.
Like also, I feel like the only way that Dave Chappelle could be funnier is if he was Dominican.
Actually, I take back a statement earlier. I said that Dave Chappelle's the best in the storytelling game. That's wrong. It's John Leguizamo, actually. John Leguizamo, his stand-ups, his storytelling ability is unmatched. Dude, that man is ridiculous, especially his old specials.
He's really good. I like him as a person, especially in the movie Pest. Look at Pucho.
Oh, God. I hate Pest. Pest, I think, is the worst movie of all time.
A mini stomach ache when I said that.
You just fucking made me gain a little hate for the culture. Right? Like, this is what the culture brought to the world, the Pest.
He's a Latino.
Yeah, he's Colombian, right? He ain't down. Let me stop. No. And we love the Colombian people.
We love all people.
Colombian.
All color, all race, doesn't matter how you identify. Treat everybody, love everybody.
Yep.
Treat everybody.
The shower scene, Pucho, in Pest.
That's how it starts. That shit is terrible. Them curtains all up in his shower. That shit was all just stomachache inducing.
Well, if you stuck through the whole episode, thank you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Baby R Us. We're everywhere.
Ring-a-ling bell, that ding-a-ling bell.
Facts. And one up yourself. Always one up yourself.
Peace.